What do you actually do around here, man? No, I'm not being funny right now, man. Like, what do you do here? Name one thing.
With the dust finally settling after Hazbin Hotel Season 2 and Smiley Friends Season 3, something has become impossible to ignore. The greatest strength of one show is the other's biggest weakness. Writing. Go figure. And honestly, a recent post from VivziePop pushed me over the edge, because it perfectly highlights how blind she is to criticism and her own shortcomings as a writer. It wasn't some thoughtful reflection on feedback or her character intent, it was deflection. And to me at least, it exposed a fundamental misunderstanding of why audiences are frustrated with their shows. The clearest example of this contrast comes from the two characters who ironically share the same name, Charlie Morningstar and Charlie Dompler. Both characters have always had their detractors, but this season turned them into genuine flashpoints online. The difference is why people turned on them. VivziePop, much like Charlie Morningstar herself, seems to naively believe that the backlash is proof of good writing, that audiences are simply reacting to a flawed character being challenged.
They love me.
But that's not what's happening. People aren't rejecting Charlie Morningstar because she's flawed. They're rejecting her because she's a nothing burger protagonist. She doesn't meaningfully grow, she doesn't drive the story, and she's consistently outshined by every character around her. The frustration isn't moral, it's structural. Meanwhile, Charlie Dompler's reception in Smiley Friends feels almost inevitable. For a show that doesn't take itself seriously at all, it painstakingly writes its characters with care. People's genuine reactions to Charlie ironically mirror how audiences once responded to BoJack Horseman's misdeeds, which is extra funny when you remember that Hazbin, the serious show, can't even pull off a single BoJack level moment. Instead, its characters are painfully cut and dry and with little to no nuance. In Hazbin, what you see is what you get, and with Charlie Morningstar, what you get is exactly what you saw 5 seconds ago, just repeated ad nauseum. But again, both Zach Hadel and Michael wanted to write the characters as realistic as possible, as if they were actual real people.
You know, like you mentioned, Optimist and kind of, I think one of the first drawings we had of the characters roughly as they were was Charlie with those angry eyebrows and Pim smiling. It's like, okay, he's not always angry. He's kind of moved away from that to be a little more complex. Both of them have. Yous are basically, not exactly our real voices, but essentially, so that it feels a little bit more real. And I think, it was always funny to us, but one thing I didn't see at all was people connecting to it more. We always view it as more of a comedy lens thing, but I think a result of that was people saying, oh, they feel really real. I feel like I know people like this, or, you know what I mean?
His selfish nature, emotional distance, and passive behavior weren't sudden twists in the show. They were always foreshadowed in previous seasons, even if you want to deny it. Zach Hadel even says in interviews that Charlie sees Pim as more of a co-worker, while Pim sees him as a best friend, emphasizing Charlie is kind of a relatable jerk.
I'm such a fat fucking chud.
Not really somebody you aspire to be. That imbalance was always the point. It helped Pim stand out as the naive optimist stuck with Charlie the cynic, in a world that's also equally chaotic and uncaring. But not in a way that doesn't work like Charlie Morningstar in Hell. So when Charlie Dompler acts like kind of an ass, the audience accepts it because the show understands him, commits to it, and actually writes around it. That's the difference. One mistakes sloppy writing for depth, while the other builds nuance naturally through realistic character flaws. For a character who's supposedly the emotional and narrative core of Hazbin Hotel, Charlie Morningstar contributes shockingly little to the actual concept of the show for an entire season. The idea of redeeming sinners in hell should live or die on her agency, yet she spends most of season 1 reacting instead of acting, sidelined by more dynamic characters to carry the plot. By season 2, the problem only gets worse, not better. Her pursuit of redemption starts actively putting others at risk through decisions that aren't bold or morally complex. They're just asinine.
A quick reminder that a like and a comment go a long way to getting my videos seen by the algorithm, so feel free to drop a comment below on what you think of the two Charlies.
Plans fall apart not because hell is cruel or unpredictable, but because Charlie remains unrealistically naive, charging forward with a Disney Channel demeanor that completely clashes with the show's tone. The result is a protagonist so ill-fitted in her own series that the writers increasingly push her out of entire episodes in favor of side characters who actually generate conflict, momentum, and consequence, to the point where the ending of the season has a full-on Care Bear stare power of friendship moment that the entirety of Hell even walks away from like it never happened. It starts to feel less like intentional subversion and more like creative neglect, as if even the show itself has lost interest in caring about her or the concept. Smiley Friends succeeds with Charlie because it actually commits to him being flawed, and more importantly, it earns those flaws over time. From the very beginning, the show is honest about who he is. He drinks too much. He's the guy who makes a room uncomfortable, like when he's casually holding a knife and nobody knows how to react to it. He openly admits his drinking is a problem and half-heartedly claims he's going to change, which already tells you more about him than an entire season of Hazbin Hotel exposition ever manages with Charlie. We see him lose his temper repeatedly, snapping at Pym, hitting him in the head during the alien argument, fighting with him while they're literally on their way to cut down a tree for Christmas. And in Season 3, the thing everyone's been arguing about, he denies Pym access to the group chat, condescends to him about the giant berry he ate, and once again, gets drunk and emotionally abusive with his girlfriend, touching him to clean his face. None of this comes out of nowhere. It's escalation, not betrayal. What's wild is how Smiling Friends, a show that barely stops to breathe, writes its relationships more believably than Hazbin Hotel ever does. Charlie and his girlfriend have maybe 10 seconds of total screen time across each season, and yet their dynamic feels painfully real. Messy,
All of your face.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't ever touch me.
combative,
He doesn't want to dress up as anything.
Listen, I've seen way too many people get their careers ruined over old Halloween costumes. I'm not doing it.
mutually toxic in a way that immediately clicks. It's not healthy by any means, but it's coherent in the story. Meanwhile, Charlie, Morningstar, and Fadji, despite all the songs and screen time, have basically zero chemistry. Outside of the one decent musical number about finding love in hell, their relationship feels purely written on paper, not lived in. If Charlie Morningstar suffers from bad writing as a character, her relationships feel 10 times worse written. That's the key difference. Charlie Dompler frustrates people because the show wants him to. The writing understands that he's not the chill, likable guy people project onto him. Zach Hadel even pointed this out. To Zach, Pym is the type of guy with fun stuff on his phone, while Charlie is the guy doom-scrolling conspiracy videos of Alex Jones at 3 a.m. in the morning. However, some viewers are only just catching up to what the writing has been telling us the entire time, something Hazbin Hotel never manages to do with its own Charlie, because it refuses to actually understand or challenge her. And this is where the real problem with Hazbin Hotel begins, and Vivziepop's writing specifically. It becomes something impossible to ignore. She consistently mistakes writing shortcomings for intentional character flaws, then frames the audience's frustration as proof that the character is working as intended. But a well-written flawed character reveals their issues through behavior, consequence, and escalation. Charlie Morningstar's character just doesn't. Instead, she's written as relentlessly, bafflingly stupid in ways that actively sabotage the premise of her own show. No one wants to be redeemed in hell. The series makes that abundantly clear, and yet Charlie keeps forcing that exact same pitch, the same strategy, the same wide-eyed optimism over and over again, as if sheer repetition will magically make it work. That isn't conviction or tragic naivete, it's narrative stagnation. Her flaws aren't integrated meaningfully or punished. They're ignored, then retroactively defended as depth. When viewers push back, the response isn't introspection, it's deflection, insisting the audience just doesn't get it. Compare that to Smiling Friends, where Charlie's bad behavior is acknowledged, escalates naturally, and creates real friction.
It's every job we do. You never want to do anything. It sometimes just gets a bit exhausting. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I could do the same thing back to you. I could throw stuff at you. I
Okay,
could hit
say
you with
it.
stuff that
Tell
you
me.
say.
I'd
could
love
say
to hear what people are saying about me.
I'm not gonna
Okay, how about this tree? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Here's-
One show understands how to write intentional discomfort, the other keeps mistaking maddening incompetence for complexity, and then acts shocked when people finally get fed up with it online. Ultimately, Charlie is flawed as a character, but also why he's likable. He feels real in a way real people are real. The slacker who cuts out of work early, forgets to invite you to the group chat, and generally coasts through responsibility. But he's not a bad guy. He's also the friend who steps out to say something that's more your thing and then offers to swing by a Wawa to pick you up something without making a big deal of it. He's also the friend to start a kick-ass montage to save you from an evil balding wizard.
Yo, man, give me my friend back and we'll call it even.
Smiling Friends, without trying to be BoJack Horseman, understands how to write flawed characters in a way that feels natural and unforced. Hazbin Hotel, by comparison, still feels like it's stuck in its first draft when it comes to handling character flaws with the same level of confidence. If Vivzi keeps ignoring criticism like like this.
That's an internet culture thing that I really can't stand, and I am very not afraid to be vocal about. Like, I hate the kind of cinema sins-y culture that has been
Sort of
crafted on the
behavior.
internet.
yeah, for sure.
Of just like, oh, tiniest, oh.
Acting as if fan backlash towards Charlie's writing is some sign that she knows how to write a BoJack-level complex character. I genuinely believe that Season 3 is gonna be even more cooked of a season. And with that, I'll see you next week, guys.